This is Embrace Your Inner Boldness, a podcast about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. I'm Melissa Henning-Frank, coach, guide, and founder of Becoming Bold. I help you strip away the conditioning, reclaim your voice, and rise into the power that's always been yours. Let's get right to it. Hey friend, thanks for tuning in. I have a question for you. How often do you assume all the things about all the people? Have you ever really stopped to think about that? How many times in one day are you thinking an automatic thought and coming to a random conclusion or assumption about people you encounter? Have you ever paid attention to that? I wonder, how often do we assume that someone's tone or silence or reaction means something personal, only to find out later it had nothing to do with us? So today we're talking about one of the boldest leadership and life skills we can develop, which is seeing the human behind the behavior and behind our assumptions. Right now, especially in this world of division and tension and constant noise, we need leaders, we need coworkers and humans who choose curiosity over combat, and people who choose connection as their quiet rebellion. Let's get into it. Our minds are wired to protect us. So when something feels off, whether it's a tone in an email or a side eye in a meeting, our brain is going to go on high alert right away. It fills in the blanks with old stories, past experiences, and sometimes worst case scenarios. I personally remember a situation where a manager pulled me aside after a meeting because someone in that meeting was concerned that I was rolling my eyes because of what they were saying. I had to laugh though, because it just so happened that it was my very first day trying out contact lenses. And if you know, you know. So up until then, it was always readers as needed. So it was a really big adjustment. I knew that I was doing some funny things with my eyes, but I didn't even think that someone would assume I was rolling my eyes at them. It's so natural to make assumptions though. So I guess if something good came out of that, I'm glad I had the opportunity to explain before the office gossip train had me pegged as having an attitude. And here's another scenario that you might relate to. So imagine a team meeting where someone interrupts you while you're speaking. Your mind instantly says, they don't respect me. But what if they're anxious or passionate or simply didn't realize that they cut you off? Without realizing it, we turn a neutral moment into workplace drama that really never needed to exist. Our automatic minds are fast because they're protecting us. They scan for danger based on our past experiences, not our current reality. And that's why awareness is everything. Bold leaders pause before reacting. They ask questions like, what else could be true? And they encourage their team to do this too. Our reactions aren't typically random. They're usually a result of something. So if you grew up needing to be heard, you might be extra sensitive to being interrupted. Or if you learned to avoid conflict, you might freeze when someone challenges your idea or gives you constructive feedback. If you grew up in chaos, calm might actually feel as uncomfortable as yelling or arguing is. We think we're reacting to the person in front of us, but we're often reacting to the ghosts and the voices of our past. So the bold move is to get curious about your triggers instead of projecting them onto somebody else. Let's talk about dehumanization. And what I mean by that is treating people as if they're less than human, like really not acknowledging the humanity behind the person or the group of people, and it's becoming a really big problem. I've seen something really interesting pertaining to this happening in our daily lives and experiences. It's not just happening in our politics or war. Think about people across the world that you really can't relate to, but horrible things are happening, and it doesn't impact you, so your emotions don't bubble up over it. That's an example of dehumanization, not on purpose, but that's just what happens. But dehumanization is starting to happen on the shop floor, in offices, in conference room, and on Zoom calls. And it's sort of micro dehumanization, but it looks like labeling people instead of listening to them. So saying things like, she's impossible, or he's lazy, or they're so emotional. And just like that, we stop seeing the human because we've put a label on them. When we talk about others in this way, we're even poisoning others' perceptions if they haven't yet made up their mind about the person you're complaining about. Words have power, and labeling is really making accusations that might not even be true. And then you add in today's political climate, division, fear, and outrage on every social media feed, and it amplifies what was already simmering in our workplaces. People are walking into work with emotional backpacks full of exhaustion, fear, and defensiveness. And as leaders and coworkers, we might not have full control of the environment we live in, but we can control how we show up in it and how we create our culture by our behavior. In so many instances, we've already made up our minds about people, whether it's people close to us, people at work, people across the world, people in the big cities. And that's why I feel like it's just so important to start recognizing the fact that we are not seeing the true human behind the behavior. So I invite you to take the bold way forward from here. Be the one that influences others. Don't be influenced. You set the tone. You're the leader, so it's on you to role model the behavior you want to see from your team. So be the one who leads with emotional intelligence when everyone else is leading with ego. Be the one who remembers that every behavior has a backstory. You can create team agreements to hold each other accountable for all of that. So changing behavior is the long game. You're going to have to keep at it to shift the culture in the direction you want it to go. And I have some ideas of real life ways that you can do that. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse when I say pause before reacting. But it applies to so many situations, and we kind of suck at it if we're being honest. So when you feel triggered, take a breath. Don't let your automatic mind run the show. Ask questions before you make assumptions. Try to replace things like the automatic thought of they're rude with, I wonder what's going on with them today. And okay, I know. Some people's reputation makes it really difficult to do this. But again, they probably weren't born rude. They weren't a rude baby or a rude toddler, probably. Who knows? But something likely happened along the way. So see the human behind the behavior and try to shift your focus. So instead of the automatic thought of how could they do that, try what might they need right now? This is how we bring more humanity into the workplace and into the world. And this is how we bring forth peace on earth, little by little, day by day. And I'm not saying that we need to excuse bad behavior by any means. I mean, you still need to hold people appropriately accountable, but there's a huge difference between yelling at someone on the shop floor, what the F is wrong with you, and saying calmly, hey, let's go talk privately about what's going on. Another thing you can do is name the tension. Name it to claim it. You could say, hey, it felt like there was some friction in our last meeting. Can we talk about it? And if this is uncomfortable for you, keep at it. It's only going to be uncomfortable the first couple of times until it becomes natural. And finally, see the human. Just make an effort to see the frickin' human. Remember, everybody is fighting something that you have no idea about. There's invisible battles going on. Your kindness might be the only calm that they encounter that day. It's unfortunate that we can't put ourselves in others' shoes until we've been through some shit. You're going to hope that others see your humanity when you're going through it, right? I remember walking through the grocery store not long after my sister passed away, and I know that the look on my face made me unapproachable, and yep, I bumped into people and accidentally cut them off here and there. I'm sure I look like a rude asshole, but I sure did not intend to be rude. And I'm grateful for the grace extended to me this one time I sat too long at the green light before someone honked at me. Be the person now that you're going to need later. The energy that you put out is going to ripple back to you, so manage it accordingly. Connection isn't weakness at all, it's strategy. And in divided times, connection is our rebellion. So practice these subtle shifts and practice again and again and again and just keep going. If we want healthier teams, healthier, stronger families and communities, it starts with how we treat each other when we disagree. So if you can look across a table or a political aisle and still see the human being, you're already part of the solution. We don't need more combat. And reasonable, rational people don't want that. We need more courage to connect. I can't help but wonder about people who continue to push against this idea of connection. What's going on for them? Do they actually enjoy the combat, the argument? Sometimes people who provoke conflict are fighting a battle that you and your team probably didn't create, like a leftover fight their subconscious is looking to finish. And that is when you gently hold them accountable for their behavior and maybe refer them to the employee assistance program if your workplace has one, because they probably need it. So as you head into your next meeting or your next conversation or your next scroll through the headlines, ask yourself, am I being influenced by the chaos? Or am I influencing the energy with my presence? Choose curiosity over combat. See the human behind the behavior. And don't forget that connection is our rebellion. And until next time, stay bold and stay human, and please be kind to your mind. That's it for today's episode of Embrace Your Inner Boldness. If this stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Screenshot this episode, tag me at Becoming Bold LLC, and share it with someone else who's ready to rise. And hey, if you haven't already, take a second to subscribe, rate, and review the show. That's how we spread the boldness and keep this movement growing. Whatever came up for you today, feel the fear and do it anyway. You don't need to wait for perfect timing or permission. You are powerful. You are ready. And remember, the only limit to your boldness is the one you set for yourself. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and keep becoming you.